Wendy, the office market is definitely shifting, not only just, in Toronto, but in Vancouver, across North America. We've seen vacancy rates move up. In some cases, we haven't seen them since the 1990s. A big part of this is a reflection of work from home. Where do you see the office market right now, both cyclically and where things are going long term?
Well, I think we are. I think cyclical is an important word to remember in that vacancy rates, the economy grows, companies hire, they take more office space, vacancy falls to very low levels, rents go up that then justify building new towers. And so at low vacancy points, a bunch of towers start. Low vacancy points tend to be, as you know, as an economist, the high point often of an economic cycle. And by the time these assets deliver to the market, often the economy has gone into a bit of a slump, whether it's a recession or just a slowing. And while the new towers have their pre-leasing, so they've got companies moving in, the backfill is often slower to pick up because companies are maybe taking a pause on hiring. And so if we look at the stats, even within CoStar, you can see that the amount of occupied space, or leased space might be the better word right now, is at an all-time high in most markets. It's just that there's been a large wave of new supply has come on that's driving up the vacancy rates. I think the question this time with companies using their office space differently, more collaborative, fewer big private offices, is going to be how long will it take to fill the backfill compared to past cycles when the amount of space you needed per person was a lot more fixed, and it's a lot more fluid today in terms of how people work and how companies are responding to some of the challenges that are happening right now in the economy and society.
And what do tenants really want out of their office? I think you and I both agree the downtowns are not going away. They're very important, and those office towers are going to remain having important tenants. But have tenant preferences changed in the office market?
I think obviously there's so many kinds of tenants, and there still is a tenant that's looking for value, inexpensive space. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to bring people together to a place where they can be productive. And what that means today, and sort of in an era of lots of information, and you're trying to digest it quickly and understand what it means, is that you often need those really quick personal connections. And a lot of companies are finding that having everyone at home, you miss out on that real quick synergies, real quick collaboration. So companies are trying to have office space which really facilitates communication, and also is a nice place to go. It's the hospitality wave that went from hotels to purpose-built rental apartments and condos, and it's hitting the office space, the experience economy, making it, if it's nicer than home, you're more likely to get out of your pajamas and come to the office. So that's another piece of it, is making it a really pleasant experience that also will therefore increase productivity because people are there and they want to be there. And the downtowns have so much going for them as well. If everyone's there, there's that, you can go to fun places at lunchtime and after work and for coffee and feel some vibrancy. You can see other people in your industry or in other industries and exchange ideas, and that doesn't happen when people are all if they're not at the office, or if you're in some old school office that's not as connected. So that's the other piece, is people, companies are wanting that much more connected office, and maybe not an isolated office building that they might have accepted in the past for the value. But we do have to remember that there is a whole range of tenants, and there's always a tenant for an older building that offers less expensive space, maybe not as quite as a deluxe experience, but it allows a company with less resources, a startup, to get everybody together in one place, make it their own.
Right.
Move forward.
One of the things that we've been hearing a lot about, whether it's the conference circuit or just in the newspapers, but in our industry, is the fact that we may have some excess office supply coming on, and I'm thinking about Calgary. The Calgary market very well, and some of that excess office space is now being converted to residential. And two questions. One is, can that be done? Can we start looking at converting office to residential? And then the second part is, what's going on in terms of the supply side in the residential market where we don't have any capacity?
Yeah, well, the residential, obviously, Canada's in a housing crisis, just on the purpose-built rental alone. I recently posted on LinkedIn, I think we're short somewhere around 240,000 rental apartments today, and that's only going to, get worse as we bring in so many new Canadians that we do need for the jobs, and we do need it for part of our society. So yeah, we do need more homes, and we do have older office buildings in particular, whereas it's the new product that people want, the old ones do have to come out of the market. And that is, again, part of a normal market cycle. The question is, what do you do with it? And can you reuse the structure for housing in some way? So the challenge becomes the really large floor plate office buildings do not lend themselves very well to becoming housing because people want windows, and you're going to either have bowling alley style units or it just plain doesn't work. But some of the older, smaller C-class and there's even older B and A that are really small, tall, the narrow, tall buildings would lend themselves to conversion. And so it's a very narrow selection of the buildings, but those that do, Calgary's obviously, the city of Calgary is putting in incentives to get some of that office switched to residential or another use. And I think other markets are certainly looking at it. We're taking a look at some of our buildings. Can they be reds? But that is the challenge, is the size of the floor plate. And but
Right.
I think it is something cities and municipalities should look at. Is there's only so many office buildings that could be converted. And so whether to let those ones go, even in a policy where generally you don't want to let office space go because it's cyclical. Just because we don't need it today doesn't mean we won't need it 10 years from now. So I do agree with some cities are being cautious, but we have some buildings that could be converted. Res faster. The greenest building is the one already built. So in terms of the carbon footprint of this new development, by reusing a structure,
Right.
that's really important.